The engagement ring sparkled under the soft glow of the chandelier in our favorite restaurant, its diamond catching the light like a fragment of a dream. Ethan had proposed 3 months earlier, on a rooftop overlooking the city skyline, the lights twinkling below us like stars fallen to earth. His voice had trembled as he slipped the ring onto my finger. His eyes filled with a tenderness that made my heart swell. Forever, he had whispered, and I had believed him. We were the couple everyone envied. Ethan, the ambitious investment banker, with his effortless charm and razor-sharp wit, and me, the driven marketing director who had finally found someone who matched her in every way. Our love story was the kind that inspired sighs and knowing smiles, the kind people wrote songs about. We were perfect, or so it seemed, but perfection, as I would soon discover, is often just an illusion, a carefully constructed facade, hiding the cracks beneath. It began with the little things, the kind of details that seem insignificant until they aren't. Ethan's phone, buzzing in the middle of the night, the way he would suddenly need to work late, on weekends, the slight tension in his shoulders. When I reached for his phone to check the time, I told myself I was being paranoid, that the stress of wedding planning was making me imagine things. After all, this was supposed to be the happiest time of my life. I was supposed to be glowing, radiant, counting down the days until I walked down the aisle toward my forever. But forever, as it turned out, had an expiration date. One evening I came home early from a girls' night out, my heels clicking against the hardwood floor of our apartment. The lights were dim, the scent of Ethan's cologne still lingering in the air, though he wasn't there. His phone lay face up on the kitchen counter, the screen glowing with an unread message. I shouldn't have looked, I knew that, but something, a whisper of doubt, a nagging instinct, made me pick it up. The message was from Vanessa. I can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again? My breath caught in my throat. My fingers trembled as I unlocked his phone, my stomach twisting as I scrolled through the thread. Each message was a knife to the chest, twisting deeper with every word. And then there were the photos, grainy, intimate snapshots of Ethan and Vanessa in a hotel room, their bodies tangled together in a way that left no room for doubt, no space for excuses. The world seemed to tilt beneath my feet. The man I was supposed to marry, the man who had promised me forever, had been living a double life. The realization hit me like a physical blow, stealing the air from my lungs. I should have screamed. I should have thrown his things out the window, slammed the door in his face, let my anger and pain explode in a storm of tears and accusations. But as I stood there, the weight of his betrayal pressing down on me, something unexpected happened. A cold, steady calm settled over me. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. Instead, I smiled, because in that moment I understood something fundamental. Ethan and Vanessa had just given me the power to rewrite our story, and I intended to make it a masterpiece. The next week was a blur of meticulous planning. I played my role to perfection. The doting fiancé, the blissful bride-to-be. I laughed at Ethan's jokes, kissed him goodbye as he left for work, and let him believe he was still in control. But behind the scenes I was gathering my arsenal. I hired a private investigator to document every secret meeting, every whispered lie. I saved every text, every photo, every damning piece of evidence. I even visited the hotel where they had met, standing in the lobby, imagining the moments they had stolen from me. The pain was still there, but it had hardened into something sharper, something stronger. I wasn't going to let them break me. I was going to break them. Vanessa, my so-called friend, had no idea what was coming. She had always been the type to crave attention, to thrive on drama. Wearing white to my wedding wasn't just a mistake. It was a declaration of war, and I was ready to meet her on the battlefield. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and clear, the kind of day that seemed too beautiful for what was about to unfold. The church was a stunning example of Gothic architecture, its towering stained glass windows casting prisms of color onto the ancient stone floor. The air was thick with the scent of roses and the murmur of guests, their voices hushed with anticipation. I stood at the back of the aisle, my heart pounding, not with nerves, but with the thrill of what was to come. The music swelled, the doors opened, and I stepped forward, my gown trailing behind me like a banner of war. And then I saw her. Vanessa stood near the front, her white dress clinging to her like a second skin. It wasn't just any white, it was ivory, a shade so close to my own gown that it was impossible to miss. Her smirk was visible even from a distance, a challenge in her eyes as she met my gaze. The whispers started immediately, rippling through the pews like a current. My bridesmaids exchanged uneasy glances, their hands clutching their bouquets a little tighter. My mother's hand flew to her chest, her face pale with shock. My father's jaw tightened, his knuckles white as he gripped the wooden pew. But me, I didn't flinch, because unlike everyone else in that church, I knew the truth, and the truth was about to set me free. Ethan stood at the altar, his smile faltering as he caught sight of Vanessa. For a split second I saw panic flicker in his eyes. He knew this was wrong, that she had gone too far, but it was too late for regrets. The priest began the ceremony, his voice echoing through the cavernous space, the words of the traditional vows hanging in the air like a fragile promise. Ethan's voice was steady as he repeated his lines, but I could see the sweat beading on his forehead, the way his fingers twitched at his sides. He was nervous. Good. He should be. When it was my turn to speak, I reached into my bouquet and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. The room fell silent, the weight of anticipation pressing down on us all. Ethan's frown deepened. Vanessa leaned forward, her eyes narrowing, sensing that something was wrong. I began to read. I once believed love was built on honesty, I said, my voice clear and strong, carrying through the church like a bell tolling. But honesty shattered the moment I found the late-night texts, the hotel receipts, the betrayal. Gasps rippled through the congregation. Ethan's face drained of color, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. Vanessa's smirk vanished, replaced by something akin to terror. She tried to stand, but the weight of the guest's judgment pinned her in place. You see, I continued, my voice growing louder, more powerful with each word. Betrayal isn't just about the lies you tell. It's about the people you choose to hurt. And today, one of those people is sitting among us, wearing white at another woman's wedding. I turned to Vanessa, my gaze locking onto hers, unflinching, because she wasn't content with destroying my trust in private. She wanted to flaunt it. She wanted to rub it in my face. So let's give her the attention she craves. Dozens of heads swiveled in her direction. The whispers grew into a roar. Judgment, condemnation, shock. Vanessa's face burned with humiliation, her hands trembling as she clutched the fabric of her dress. This, I said, reaching into the folds of my gown and pulling out an envelope, is proof. With a dramatic flourish, I tossed it onto the altar. Photos spilled out. Ethan and Vanessa, their bodies entwined, their smile smug, their betrayal undeniable. The church erupted. Some guests gasped. Others shouted in outrage. Vanessa bolted for the door, her white dress trailing behind her like a flag of surrender, her heels clicking frantically against the stone floor. Ethan lunged after her, but I stopped him with a single sentence, my voice steady and proud. This isn't the beginning of our marriage, Ethan. This is the end of your lies and the start of my freedom. I turned and walked back down the aisle, my head held high, my spine straight. The guests parted for me, some clapping, others whispering words of support. I felt taller with every step, stronger. I wasn't leaving broken. I was leaving reborn. That night, instead of a wedding reception, I hosted a celebration of a different kind. My closest friends and family gathered at my favorite wine bar, their faces alight with admiration and pride. We toasted to my courage, to my strength, to my refusal to let betrayal define me. There were tears, but they weren't mine. There was laughter, but it wasn't forced. For the first time in months, I felt like myself again. No, better than myself. I felt like a woman who had taken back her power, who had turned her pain into something beautiful. And when I looked in the mirror before bed, I barely recognized the person staring back at me. She was stronger, fiercer, unbroken. She was a survivor. Betrayal is a funny thing. It can break you, or it can make you. For me, it was the latter. I chose myself. I chose my happiness. And in the end, that was the happiest ending of all. Because sometimes the greatest love story isn't the one you write with someone else. It's the one you write for yourself. It's the story of a woman who refused to be a victim, who turned her pain into power, and who walked away not with a broken heart, but with a heart that was finally, truly free.